What it is, y'all. Get it in.
Mm-hmm.
Order chaos.
Saturday Night Live, America.
Hmm.
We're back. We're back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me begin. The new epoch of the gods. Through the power, force, might, and will of the great no things, of the almighty powers, of the great no things, of almighty flow, the great no thingness, of infinite beingness, of infinite, endless, limitless, invisible light from which comes the absolute all. All that was, all that is, and all that is being and becoming realized into realization, actualization, and form as we are now, will and commanded to be now, being and becoming an active force of higher consciousness and an active force of infinite intelligence within us all now, being and becoming the great primordial dragon god sun kundalini flames, now whirling and ascending up our spine, from our root chakra to our central heart chakra on up to our royal crown chakra, igniting our royal crown chakra, illuminating our first eye, our Lord Amunel Dragra, our hidden priestly Grandmaster Magi, Dragon Godson, King and Queen, igniting all of the 72 chakras in our first eye, our 72 primordial dragon god, son, kings and queens, and all of our legions of 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 armies 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 of armies. Now, willing all of the powers, forces, elements, essences, dark matter, and energy within the absolute all into being and becoming all of our will servants, serving all of our will subjectives, intentions, and desires, crystallizing them all into realization, actualization, and form as we are now willing commanded to be. Now, being and becoming an active force of supernal energy and an active force of supernal light that we're now using to unlock and activating all of our higher DNA, returning it all back online within us through the black dot within our first eye, universe B. Now, being and becoming, now increasing the vibratory rate of our entire beingness up higher and higher and higher, changing every atom and every subatomic particle of matter within our entire beingness up higher and higher and higher into a new primordial chaos out of order being of higher manners, the master manifester of all reality and beingness, manifesting into our reality and beingness, a new and greater mind connected to Atma, the Most High, while pulling in unlimited supernal light and energy from right out of Atma into our higher and lower manners and on down into our physical reality, manifesting it here as all of the substance that we need now to take total control of this entire matrix through the knowledge of our true higher and lower inner self as we begin to learn how to magnetically reattaching all of our higher DNA back together again, empowered by the supernal light and energy of Atma control through higher manas to begin phasing in universe B, the world to come, while phasing out universe A, the world being and becoming destroyed now by raising the vibratory rate up so high until it began awakening and igniting all of the divine sparks in this matrix one by one, all going supramental consciousness together, bypassing all of their humanity, completely destroying this illusionary matrix at once, being and becoming pure supernal energy vibrating higher and higher and higher, being and becoming more massive than the sun until we suck the entire sun and solar system into our supernal darkness and supernal light, collapsing this entire space-time continuum into our supernal energy as it continues vibrating faster and faster until it implodes and explodes, forming into Universe B, the world to come, on a new earth, expressed in its most grandest grace and beauty, in a universe now built on the foundation and fabric of divine love, peace, justice, harmony, and balance, as all of the souls come together to celebrate the great feast and grand festival of the new epoch of the gods. Through the power, force, might, will of the great nothingness of the almighty powers of the great nothingness of almighty flow, the great nothingness of the infinite beingness of infinite, endless, limitless, invisible light from which comes the absolute all that was, all that is, and all that is being and becoming realized into realization, actualization, and form as we are now willing commanded to be. Abracadabra, Ashe.
Presto Chango.
Presto changeo. Okay, now. Okay. Crown Chakra Day libations. Ain to nothingness, Ashe. Ain soft, the infinite, Ashe. Ain soft or the infinite light, Ashe. Adam Catman, Atik Yaman, the ancient of ancient, the most ancient of days, Arikamban, the big face, the primordial Christ, Ashe. Absolute emanations, our supernal holy universe manifesting as the holy divine infinite magical names, the cosmic Christ, Ashe. The great abyss of Gnosis, the crown of Zeramp, and the small face, the indwelling Christ, Ashe.
Okay.
Berea, form, creation, and paradise, manifesting as our holy divine infinite magical dark archangels and demons, Ashe. Yetzirah, formation, manifesting as our holy divine infinite orders of dark angels and demons within us, Ashe. Ashia, the actual physical world in the making, manifesting as our holy divine infinite magical earthly kingdom, Ashe. Yeshida, the holy divine infinite magical divine spark, manifesting as our holy divine infinite magical desire, our holy divine infinite magical will, Ashe. Heya, our holy divine infinite magical life force, manifesting as our holy divine infinite magical desire, Ashe. Neshama, our holy divine infinite magical heavenly soul, manifesting in us as our holy divine infinite magical heavenly thoughts, Ashe. Ruach, our holy divine infinite magical soul, manifesting in us as our holy divine infinite magical words spoken through us, Ashe. Nephish, our holy divine infinite magical earthly soul, manifesting into realization, actualization, and form as we are now willing commanded to be, Ashe. Kether, the supernal crown, Ashe. Hakma, wisdom, the supernal father, Ashe. Bana, understanding and intelligence, the supernal mother, Ashe. Da, the great abyss of gnosis, Ashe. Hased, mercy, Ashe. Gavora, judgment, Ashe. Tiferet, beauty, Ashe. Netzik, victory, Ashe. Had, glory, Ashe. Yesod, foundation, Ashe. Malkut, the kingdom, Ashe. The power, force, might, will of the great nothingness of the almighty powers of the great nothingness of almighty flow, the primordial flower constantly blooming the absolute all into being, Ashe.
Ashe. Oh,
You want
you,
some?
you see my screen?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. 'Cause I was
You
watching
wanted to?
the video, boy. He was saying some stuff, but he kept on using the word evil out of context. He kept
Mm-hmm.
using evil. He got a Christian orientation, and a lot of times that Christian mindset
Mm-hmm.
will interfere with your Gnostic thought, because
Mm.
most people figure like, oh, Gnosticism is a form of Christianity, and it actually is the mysticism of what we call in Christianity. It's the mysticism,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and we a lot of the things that we use in Christianity is connotative linguistics. It's not the ancient symbolic meaning of these words, right? They're using a lot of words out of context, like the serpent, like the devil, like evil. All of
Mm-hmm.
these being took out of context, how they're using it, and that was the main thing. It was something else he was talking about that I didn't agree with. But for the most part, he was on point about how the density shifting. He was talking about the density shifting going on
Mm-hmm.
because of the
Bobby Hemmett talked about this guy. He mentioned this guy before. He was talking about, you know, um, people that you'll never see on TV. And he was talking. Yes, there not only are there black people that are into the knowledge that you'll never see on TV, but there are a lot of white people that are saying things and that are on target, but you'll never hear about them or see them on TV. And he was one of the persons that he mentioned. His
right,
name was. Hmm.
right. No, I'm saying he was on point, but like I
Hmm.
said, he's kind of he got this orientation that's kind of off as it pertains to the linguistics. That's what throw a
Yeah,
lot of people off. Is the linguistic using
he's
these
from
throwing these
Australia.
words around and then emotionally attaching emotions to
Hmm.
certain words, and
Hmm.
it's out of context from the spiritual aspect, not a human aspect. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Well, yeah, okay, I can agree with you on that, but still, the message, the shit is getting correct.
No, he's saying stuff that I've been saying for a while. I haven't
Yeah.
never met him before, never heard him
Hmm.
before, and I was saying the same stuff he was saying about how the density shifting coming and how
Hmm.
reality is going to be something outside what we're orientated through the matrix, through the
Hmm.
social engineering. This is what's going to keep a lot of people in the matrix because they're not aware of how the nature of reality actually works. You know what I'm saying? They
Well,
think,
they're gonna go
think
bye bye
physical
with the
reality.
Matrix
Yeah, they think physical reality is actually
reality.
more than just a vibration, and all it is a vibration. This is the energy,
Yeah, they think it's the end all be all, but it's not.
and evil is just an energy too.
It's an energy, but it's like I said, it's dumb. It's dumb matter.
It's like you. What do you mean, dumb matter? That's when you lower vibrate. When you lower vibration, I wouldn't consider that'll be.
It's not
I guess you could consider it evil. I could
dumb.
consider
Yeah,
it evil
because it came
when you're
from.
not when you're not living up to the potential of your vibration. If you're not living up to that potential, you can, because why? Because that's why I made the documentary. Mastery of your demons is your genius, because you have to become master of the demons
Yeah,
of your
well,
demons.
once you move, you set forth on the right track on the path that you're supposed to be, then you're automatically at war with this force. This force is automatically at war with you. And so it's going to throw things. It can't fuck with you, but it can fuck with the environment around you through other people and through other things and other
It can
circumstances.
fuck with
You
your
have to deal
humanity.
with that.
Right? It can fuck with your humanity, and
Yeah, yeah, it can fuck with your humanity through other people and through other people causing circumstances.
well, that's why it's important to transcend your humanity. and recognize and put it in its place. It's not the master, it's the slave.
Yeah. Well, when I say put people insert, it can activate other people to get in your way. Yeah, so you have to do the rituals or the magic to block that energy, to block those people or block that energy out of your path, out of your way. But when it does come, I mean, it's gonna we're all gonna be challenged. We all get, I mean, this thing wants to survive. It wants to be in control, but it can't. Its time is up. But that doesn't mean it's still not gonna put up a fight.
Yeah.
And so we have to be aware.
That's what makes you stronger though. So
Yes, that's
greater
what
the
makes
fight,
us
the
strong.
greater the fight it puts up, then
Hmm.
greater your potential of being greater than you actually are.
Yeah, or catching you off guard. Yeah, it'll fuck your ego up. Your ego will make you think you're on top of it and you got it. And that's when it'll come back, it'll rear its ugly face and get you through that ego.
Right.
But on the most part, a lot of the Gnosticism I've been listening to lately, it's, man, this shit, it talks about not only the correction, but the judgment and the destruction of the rulers and the demiurge and in its entire creation and matrix. And we are the ones to bring judgment onto it.
No doubt.
Hmm?
You ever heard of this brother Celestial Universe? He's good. He be talking about some good stuff.
No, I haven't heard this one. There's so many of them out there now. So what's this all about? There's no audio. Well, it's sort of kind of showing you. It doesn't have any audio.
You can't hear it?
No, no, that was silent on my end all that time. I can just see it, but no video. I mean, no audio, just video.
Okay, let's see. Okay. How did I... Okay, let's do this again.
Magnetic fields. This is why nature is electromagnetism. Atoms are actually electromagnetic toroidal fields. At the center of every torus field, there is a black hole and a white hole. White hole is white light, which is magnetism, which splits into two electrical components. The white light gives birth to redshift, which is explosiveness out of counter space, which manifests into the male action taker, the outforce. Once the spiraling field loses its momentum, it seeks back into rest, which is blue shift, which manifests as the female, which is the in-force. This is seeking safety. Physical matter, what we see, is a result of these two forces equalized on the plane of inertia, which gives you planet Earth. Yes, it's a flat plane. The magnetic light creates the two electrical effects, red and blue. This is why everything is red and blue. Red and blue pill on the matrix, red and blue tap, red and blue siren. Roses are red, violets are blue. Magnetism radiates outwards. It's pure. It does not have a vibration. But the effect of this radiating force creates an electrical vibration. Now, all vibrations have to come back to a standstill point like a guitar string. This is why our physical bodies die, because it contains of electricity. Electricity is mortal. Magnetism is immortal. By believing in physical particles, they've tricked your mind into a physical universe, when in fact all things seen come from the particles do not exist, only electromagnetic fields. This is why nature is electromagnetism. Atoms are actually electromagnetic toroidal fields. At the center of every torus field, there is a black hole and a white hole. White hole is white light, which is magnetism, which splits into two electrical components. The white light gives birth to redshift, which is explosiveness out of counter space, which manifests into the male action taker, the outforce. Once the spiraling field loses its momentum, it seeks back into rest, which is blue shift, which manifests as the female, which is the in-force. This is seeking safety. Physical matter, what we see, is a result of these two forces equalized on the plane of inertia, which gives you planet Earth. Yes, it's a flat plane. The magnetic light creates the two electrical effects, red and blue. This is why everything is red and blue. Red and blue pill on the matrix, red and blue tap, red and blue siren. Roses are red, violets are blue. Magnetism radiates outwards. It's pure. It does not have a vibration. But the effect of this radiating force creates an electrical vibration. Okay. Now, all vibrations have to come back to a standstill point like a guitar string. This is why our physical bodies die, because it contains of electricity. Electricity is mortal. Magnetism is immortal. By believing in physical particles, they've tricked your mind into a physical universe, when in fact all things seen come from the particles do not exist, only electromagnetic.
It sounds like it was beating us out there. But I kind of get that, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean by the true nature of reality. We've been fooled to believe it's physical.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's not physical at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's electromagnetic conditioning and energy. That's what we're experiencing. Electric magnetic conditioning and these forces, these energy interacting. This is what we're experiencing. It's not a physical reality. But long as you believe it's a physical reality, this is the matrix. This is where they have you trapped. That's what a demiurge wants you to believe.
Well, yeah, the whole third dimension, the fourth dimension is the demiurge.
Yeah.
It's about escaping that, going to the fifth and higher, going beyond the demiurge.
The matter base that can't hold the higher frequency goes into the
You literally have the power to bend the matrix to your will.
That the final separation of the timelines takes place, which means that's when the matter base that can't hold the higher frequency goes into the phantom time matrix probability, and where the bridge zone would completely separate from that, and then from there the ascension cycle, when it goes all the way up to Terra, would happen. This is, when I read this part to you, it's what we would be experiencing if we were not able to create a buffer zone. So the buffer zone is the solution to this, and the buffer zone depends on the indigos waking up. because the indigos need to be able to run enough frequency to get those anchoring rods put in, the bivecta and trivecta anchoring rods through the round tables. If that happens, this stuff is still going to take place, but we won't see it in the hologram because we'll be in like a little bubble of frequency. The planet will be. That will be the buffer zone. So the transitions will be going on around us, and the most we would see is certain things might disappear on the third day of particle conversion, and some people might disappear. They're the ones that went into a different timeline. But the majority of people would be sustained by the frequencies that are in the buffer zone from the meow zone time cycle. Now, 3 days of darkness and the sound. Upon the initiation of the first wave of transmutation, 3 days of cold darkness begin on Earth. Through the transmutation process, the natural density 1 D789 frequency subharmonics of the planetary Merkaba, magnetosphere, ionosphere, exosphere, and magnetic fields convert directly to density 2 electrical pulse, as the density 1 telluric shield, Earth's template, begins fusion with the density 2 duratic shield, Terra's template of Terra. The photonic hydrogen-based elements that make up the transmuted outer atmosphere of density 1 Earth represent superluminal density 2 photons, transharmonic photons, and subparticle units that move faster than the speed of density 1 light, and thus appear as the absence of light in density 1. Stationed in density 1, the fusion of the Earth-Terra shield is perceived as density 1 light disappearing, as Earth's atmosphere reaches a superluminal state and is transmuted into density 3 sound, density 2 light. And it says, note, density 1 light spectrum is the density 2 sound spectrum. Density 2 light spectrum is the density 3 sound spectrum, etc. As the light disappears, the sound comes. The greatest quantity of sound wave spectra in this sound we speak of is primarily inaudible to the external human ear. Rather, this sound is heard as a sound within the head and inner ears that begins as a low, deep hum, then a deep rumble, and progresses upward in tone to a building sound of higher-pitched static, eventually to become a steady, high-pitched whine. Biology, density 2 light, density 3 sound, DNA, celestaline, and atomic transmutation. It is the sound waves of density 3, density 2 light, emerging into density 1 Earth's atmosphere and matter base that cause the matter forms and biologies that cannot hold the faster oscillating shorter wavelength frequencies to implode. Holding interdimensional sound frequencies requires that a form have in its blueprint template the corresponding dimensional sequences of scalar wave units or fire letters. Human DNA, and that of numerous other Earth life forms, has the capacity to hold interdimensional sound waves, and thus such life forms can survive the 3-day particle conversion period of a stellar activation cycle, if the DNA is functioning properly.
But what she's talking about is when the density shifting happens, and when the transitioning of what they call the singularity and things, and then when that's basically the veil lifting to the point where everyone is going to witness, like the Bible said, all eyes will witness, or whatever. She's talking about that point, that what they call 0 point.
Yeah, when the dome is cracked.
Right.
The firmament.
This is happening gradually now. It's like it's just so gradual that people are not, and then also people are not engaging in the practices and the rituals and the disciplines in order to make the transition. Like she said, there's going to be some people who are trapped in the potentiality that because they didn't vibrate beyond the one that's the potentiality that's coming. Right? Multi-potentiality. People using different words, multi-dimensional world is multi-potentialities because it can happen anyway, depending on how humanity's evolving to the point where it needs to evolve. And like she said, the Bible even supports this. Some people are going to be left in this third density, third dimensional density. They're going to still be here.
They're going
to still be here. And they're going to witness tragedy, suffering, all that stuff. They're going to witness that. Yeah. When we transcend and our energy vibrate on a higher level, because all of the whole universe is vibrating to a higher level, you have to vibrate on that level too in order for you to engage in this new reality that's coming.
Mm-hmm. Eventually, those lower realms are going to be dissolved, and the souls trapped in them, they're going to have to evolve up to the next higher level.
Yeah.
And those levels are going to be dissolved, and they're going to have to continue on, because all of this shit's going to be dissolved until we get to the highest, the bliss body, the Buddhic,
Right.
or the Buddhic realm. That's after Manas, or the mental realm. But we're talking about the spiritual realm now.
Mm-hmm.
But the physical, etheric, emotional, or astral, and lower mental, all of that is going to be resolved. And
Well,
even
I think they're going to transition into something more useful for the world that we're going in.
yeah, we're going to be able to take that experience, everything we experience, all the inventions, all the ingenuity, the dark shit, the wars, the horrors and shit, and we'll be able to learn from all of that and probably create the super race.
Right. And it's like it's not going to be humanity anymore. So
It's going to
it's
be
not going to be
beyond that.
humanity anymore. So
No,
I see that a lot now, because me personally, I'm like, my growth is advanced in this. I'm advanced, so I've already transcended my humanity for the most part.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I've transcended, because a lot of transcending it is getting rid of all those old human thoughts.
Well, Gnosticism helps with that tremendously,
Yes, it
because
does.
it says that, man, okay, the demiurge and archons were tricked into making the image that they saw, which was the perfect man, the perfect Adam Cadman.
Right.
And so they brought that energy that they saw up there down here. And so that ensured their total destruction, because when when they finally breathed their breath in us, Sophia came in and gave us the spirit, the divine spark, which made us greater than they.
Right. Right. Right.
And so now the perfect human can manifest down here and change all this shit. Fuck everything up that the demiurge and archons created. Fuck it all up.
Right.
Yeah.
The notion of that will destroy that reality. Just
Mm-hmm.
that notion alone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Knowing that we're greater. So now we don't have to bow down to nothing. We
Right.
don't.
Right. Right. We're not inferior to these different forms of energy that are just expressions of our lower self. These are
Yeah.
expressions of our lower self.
Yes. And actually, we're here to judge that shit.
Right. 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 We are the gods. We are the gods. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just using the word God because that's the highest form for a human. So
Yeah.
we beyond God. We the beyond gods.
Mm-hmm. We're the unknowables.
Right.
The
Right.
unnamables. The unknowables. The unnamables.
Right. It's like in the multi potentialities,
Mm-hmm.
you can't determine what is going to come about. That's who we are. The undeterminable.
Yeah.
You can't determine it. You can't calculate. You can't quantify it. There's no way you can ever grasp your thoughts around it.
No. And now it's getting ready to shift from out of electricity, but into the magnetism, the electromagnetic energy.
No, the electromagnetic conditioning is still relevant. See, what's happening is that oscillation of the electric magnetic is reversing. It's going to a whole nother oscillation.
Okay.
So that like you said, energy is mortal. Magnetism is immortal.
And then on top of that, what we really are, these avatars that we're wearing, is technology too. It's very, very advanced technology.
Yeah, it's like technology. Light.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like technology, and it can
lyrics because it's stored within your
soul for technology to have it itself created, brought into this world. It's like, who's using who? Are we the ones using technology, or is technology using us?
Both, depending on where you at in your evolution.
Both. Okay.
Depending on, just like how are you possessing your demons, or are you letting your demons possess you?
Programs within your subconscious. Listening to negative music, you are programming your subconscious mind to manifest negativity. Music is frequency, and frequency is the only thing that can go inside of you without your consent, affecting your cells and your water structure no matter what. Saying positive things has a positive effect on your cells and water. Saying negative things has a negative effect. Music changes your intent, emotional state, and thoughts. This is why you become sad when you listen to a slow beat song. We're not meant to be listening to music with choruses. Repetitive beats and loops within music create thought loops within your mind. In nature, everything is transforming. There is no chorus within nature. Our mind should be constantly evoluting. Link is in the bio for the paperback book of wisdom. There is limited stock. Music is magic.
I do music like that where I don't have a hook.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a repetitive. I always thought about that. Like, I don't want nothing repetitive. I want it to be a straight flow of energy. I mean, ideas that really have no repetitiveness. Okay. And that is a program. When you repeat something over and over again, the mother of learning is repetition. Repetition. Right. So of course it's going to be a program eventually, because it goes into your subconscious, and your subconscious just records.
Mm-hmm. It reprograms your subconscious mind. This is why you remember the lyrics, because this
is the way you program your energy too, is through programming your mind. Because your mind is like the facilitator of these different energies. Remember I was talking about cultivating the energy? You cultivate the energy by disciplining your mind, going into a state, because we constantly staying in a beta state. That in that beta state, you're acceptable to all these different entities, that's coming about. When you're in the alpha state, mind in the alpha state, that means you're the master, you're the God, residing in these realms from which there's all type of other entities there. And that's the problem. There's all type of, and all these other entities are inferior entities to who you are, and they're trying to convince you of you being inferior and them being superior.
Yeah. We're like, okay, Adam Cadman is like just as high or higher than the Aeon. The real true human.
What, Adam Cadman, the self-created?
You could, well, he can later become that. But he is the perfect human. So you could say yes, he could be the self-created.
Or destroyed, only transmuted. Therefore, everything is alchemy, aka transmutation of the elements. In alchemy, lead is to be transmuted into gold, and this is how you create the Philosopher's Stone. If you raise your frequency through love and enlightenment, then you will be able to not only achieve, but secure eternal happiness. which is what we call heaven. And that's ultimately the greatest achievement that one can obtain. And if you know anything about true love and happiness, it keeps you young, and that's not up for debate. Once you reach an enlightened state of awareness, you can't be fazed by anything because your soul is immortal, and the source, cause of all creation, is pure loving consciousness. And the effect is everything else, including negativity, hate, fear, and death. By coming to the heart chakra, you can identify with love and become directly tapped in and connected to source energy. You can call it the elixir of life, the fountain of youth, the holy grail, or the halls of Amenti where Hermes drinks from the flower of life. It's all about going within. In fact, he's called Hermes, as in hermit crab, because we're supposed to go within ourselves to bring the dark night of the soul to the light of day. And that is how you properly come forth from darkness to light. This is explained in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, also the Tibetan Book of the Dead, because there is only one truth, yet there is many ways of looking at it. Therefore, God has many names, but there is only one who is most high. And that is you, aka the eternal soul. If we are gods in a vessel, then that means we come from purity, and we become less pure. So the point is to become pure again. The Kundalini fire is what we know, that energy can't be created or destroyed, only transmuted. Therefore, everything is alchemy, aka transmutation of the elements. In alchemy, lead is to be transmuted into gold, and this is how you create the Philosopher's Stone. If you raise your frequency through love and enlightenment, then you will be able to not only achieve, but secure eternal happiness, which is what we call heaven. And that's ultimately the greatest achievement that one can obtain. And if you know anything about true love and happiness, it keeps you young, and that's not up for debate. Once you reach an enlightened state of awareness, you can't be fazed by anything because your soul is immortal, and the source, cause of all creation, is pure loving consciousness. And the effect is everything else, including negativity, hate, fear, and death. By coming to the heart chakra, you can identify with love and become directly tapped in and connected to source energy. You can call it the elixir of life, the fountain of youth, the holy grail, or the halls of Amenti where Hermes drinks from the flower of life. It's all about going within. In fact, he's called Hermes, as in hermit crab, because we're supposed to go within ourselves to bring the dark night of the soul to the light of day. And that is how you properly come forth from darkness to light. This is explained in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, also the Tibetan Book of the Dead, because there is only one truth, yet there is many ways of looking at it. Therefore,
you're on point. Except that I gotta keep on using negative and positive from a human standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing that people. The way you raise your vibration is reconciling these two polarities within yourself.
Duality. That's called duality.
Within yourself, meaning, how do you reconcile them? You become those two energies in harmony. And
you polarize them. You polarize them.
Those two energy in my eye. When you become those two, when you are God and the devil, as it pertains to the energy, when you become God and the devil, you become both of these polarities, and you already are both the polarities, but you're bringing them into a singularity to where they transcend a human thought now. It's not good or evil. It's not good or evil.
We fell. Yeah, so we fell from the crown chakra down to the root. So now we're rising from the root back to the crown. Okay, when we fell from the crown, that was Christ falling down and going to hell. And then Christ.
Right, symbolically. And hell is just a lower vibration. What we're talking about, is just a lower vibration. On these lower vibrations, you're more acceptable to the lower vibrational entities that exist on those lower vibrations. But that's the whole point. This is why Jesus. Why did Jesus go to hell? He went to hell and brought back souls.
Yeah, well, see, even the Christ has to be redeemed. Even the gods have to be redeemed. The demiurge can be redeemed. The archons can be redeemed. All you have to do is come back into the realization that we're of our true higher nature and true higher residence. They're just ignorant of that. They're blind.
No, but I'm just saying, like, everyone is referring to love, 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 love. That's dangerous because when you utilizing love and not recognizing the reconciliation of what we're referring to as hate, right? Then you're not whole. You're not whole. You're just
You're not whole. Yeah.
vibrating from one. You're not whole.
And not only that, but now you open your centrals up to be possessed by archons, because they
You're
can
right.
take advantage.
You're right, because you haven't reconciled it with that energy within you, something can come and you utilize that energy in you now. Why? Because you think it's something to shun. It's something to deny within yourself. No, you're supposed to do the dark alchemic magic with anything on the lower vibration and bring it to heaven, heaven down to earth, and heaven. You're supposed to bring heaven down to earth, and vice versa. Right? This is the purity. This is the purity. It's not just love. I'm trying to tell you, it's not just love. Not from the, and I'm saying love from the perspective. I'm saying love from the perspective of how humans are attaching emotions that are lower vibrational emotions to that concept of love. It got tainted. It got tainted. I'm not saying I'm not against love. I'm not against love. It's just tainted.
But see, divine love means that all the things that we need for the universe to produce, for us to advance as a species or as a being, to go to the next level and to the next level, is there provided for us. That's love. That's divine love.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. At the end of the day,
divine love.
When you are so fixated in what we're referring to as divine love, right? You're leaving room for the other side of the polarity to be used by someone else besides you, or you're fixated on love, right? You're fixated on love. Like at the point where you got your emotions attached to it, that's like magnetism in the universe, where you're gravitating all this love, but not balancing it out with the
you end up getting the opposite. You end up getting the opposite.
That's what I'm trying to get people to realize, is that humans have tainted that concept.
Yeah,
we have tainted it with our emotions, and we're undisciplined.
First of all, our humanity is tainted, period.
Of course, but like I'm saying, emotions are like a double-edged sword, because this is like the highest form of energy that we can use to manifest things, but it also is one of the lowest vibrations that you can engage with. Emotions. It's like one of the lowest vibrations, but it's like I said, this is what I mean by this negative positive thing. Emotions dwell in that balance realm where you cannot be over emotional, right? But in order for you to tap into the universe around you, you have to, because that's what I look at emotions is. Emotions are inner feelings of things that are not actually there. You can feel them. That's what I use emotion for. It's all human emotion.
Can use them for rocket fuel for the soul.
It is rocket fuel.
Yeah,
it is rocket
you
fuel.
Can use that shit to set yourself off, to help you explode.
It's rocket fuel. You can use it to ascend to higher heights, right? But also you can burn yourself and your soul eternally in hell.
Oh, you can burn yourself out with it.
Right. So this is what I mean by the Ma'at. The Ma'at concepts is overlooked by most people. I don't think people, and that's one of the
scale of balance.
Ma'at is one of the ancient gods.
Well,
she was there. She was there. My aunt was there when before creation too.
Yeah, and they called her Tiamat.
Right.
Yeah, and in ancient Egypt, they call it Apep, the mother of chaos, the serpent of Apep, uh, Ra's mother. He overthrowed her and made creation.
Yeah.
But the great mother, well, the highest form of the feminine principle is the goddess Barbelos,
The highest form
which
of
is
what?
huh? She's called Foresight. Farsight. I mean, no, not Farsight. She's Insight. Sophia's Farsight, wisdom. But Barbelos, she's the one that's what they call her Insight. And
According to the
then,
science, wisdom, the female represents wisdom. The feminine energy represents wisdom in its essence, in its nature. It's wisdom. That's why we call her Wiz in the 5%
oh,
knowledge.
she's called Foresight.
Right. So
Okay.
I'm just giving you another form of thinking or school of thought where they refer to the woman as wisdom too. She's the wise.
Hmm.
She's the wise
Yeah.
one. And then you can even go into how a woman was the first human.
Hmm.
Because how do we know this? Mitochondrial DNA. It's called mitochondrial Eve. We are all the blueprints physically on a biological level of a woman.
Hmm.
Biological blueprint of a woman. So
Well, where did Adam's first wife come from? They never told you where Lilith came from.
right, right.
There's very, very little talk about Lilith other than she's evil and she's this and that and the worst thing that ever happened. But
I think people kind of overlook the politics of religion or politics of theology, the politics of how most of it is motivated by the political what was going on politically with the people who are running things. For
mhm,
example, if anyone have any knowledge of the Heretics Wars, right? All the Heretics Wars is the elite and politicians who are their ambition is to control humans. They wanted to ban a certain amount of they wanted to ban a certain knowledge.
well, like I said before, those people were just only avatars of the rulers, the archons, because the archons were
That's not
cast
my
down
point.
to earth.
That's not my point. My point is that
Okay.
these people were trying to these people. If you look at all religions, because we're looking at it from the because there is mysticism there is symbology there is in the mythology, because human thought is like godly, is like heavenly. If you really if you get down to how humans aspire to perceive what the gods would be thinking, right? Whenever humans perceive good to that, they're evolving in their thinking and recognizing they don't recognize themselves as the God. They're like, oh, what would the gods be thinking? That's what the Bible came out of, right?
Mhm.
What would the gods be? You know what I'm saying? So this is where that comes from. Aspiring to even conceive of what a God would think, right?
Well, in the Bible, I mean, man was true knowledge of good and evil. Same things that the gods know was forbidden for man.
Exactly. But this is the politics that I'm speaking. This is all it because you see how that basically it played out in actual reality, in the people's reality, how the book was trying to say that God wanted to inhibit certain knowledge. Well, they literally was inhibiting certain knowledge from people in the Heritage Wars. So it's like you can see it playing out in reality how it was written. Like some people say, "Oh, John wrote most of the Bible and stuff, or whatever." We already know it's fraud. There were people who we call them the scribes and the Pharisees who were coming together to plot against the mass majority of the people. Period.
And plus, Kabbalistic priests.
Yeah, priests. The priesthood was one of the main ones. Like to this day, you go to seminary, right? That's when most preachers go to seminary. They teach you everything in the Bible is a lie in seminary. But then they say you got to keep up the lie though. That's the whole point of seminary. You go, you learn all of these false ideas, and they have this concept called what is it called again? Where there's no error in it, meaning they just took it upon themselves as an authority to say this is the truth, just like what they did with the COVID. Whenever an authority uses the idea of the people respecting them as an authority and use it to manipulate the people, because the people already expect them as authorities, respect them as authorities. So the people already respect these people as authorities. They can come manipulate you now. Like they can play you.
Well, those sound like archons to me.
No, you're right. What that now you're registering it to a higher. I'm registering it to the human level from the elite, which is the archons that are they're just archetypes of the archons, and
they're avatars
archons that literally rule humanity with these manipulations, these forms of manipulation.
Yeah. Or they could be regular humans that don't know that they're under the control of archons and are being used.
Well, I said that years ago, that it's not humans that is behind this repression, is this inhibiting humanity's spiritual growth.
You're right. It's not. It's the rulers. The rulers are the principalities in high places.
It's entities that know that something is inside of us that's way more powerful than them.
Yeah. Well, the authorities, they know that. That's why they cast man down into its lowest form, in grotesque form that it can be in.
But
we're at our most.
This is where humanity has to step up to the plate and recognize, don't be so naive. Don't be so oblivious. Stop letting them feed on you and just allowing it. That people are just, we're going to sit back and engage in the Matrix. We know it's the Matrix because the Matrix is a popular fucking movie. That's a popular movie, man. Everybody knows it's the Matrix, bro.
Well, tomorrow you're gonna have one of the heart of the Matrix, the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the major anchors of the Matrix.
Of course, because they use the Super Bowl to do all type of mental alchemy and rituals and shit. Programming is another form of mental alchemy because our minds collectively, especially, can change realities. You know what I'm saying? So they know that they have to do certain rituals, symbology that affects our subconscious mind, that affects the actual reality around us.
Yeah. So tomorrow they're gonna do their reality shift. And all those Super Bowl commercials and halftime game shows.
They are going in on the symbology. They are going in on their rituals because they know how to do an altar to the gods.
Mm-hmm.
Like an altar to the gods because they're calling forth for the gods, which our collective consciousness is a form of a god that they can call upon to bring about whatever they want to come about.
Or they're calling upon the rulers.
December 1990, a remote village above the Arctic Circle, two Russian scientists embarked on a daring experiment. Their goal was to enhance human superperception, or ESP. They built a device that could shield subjects from electromagnetic interference and amplify their biological energy. The device was a large tube of rolled aluminum with a chair inside. As soon as the device was built, strange phenomena occurred around the village. Disc-shaped lights hovered around the lab. Balls of energy appeared and disappeared. The northern lights became so bright and vivid that they seemed to have physical shape. Inside the lab, anyone who approached the device felt an unexplainable sense of dread. It took a long time to persuade anyone to try it. When the first subject finally sat in the chair, a flash of energy erupted that stunned everyone in the lab. The device worked, but maybe it worked a little too well. Not only did it boost people's psychic abilities, it also enabled them to view any place in the world. And soon, they could view any place in time. In fact, these experiments confirmed a theory first proposed in the 1950s, that time as we know it doesn't exist. The man did as the scientists told him. He stared at the curved wall of the aluminum chamber and tried to picture the ancient symbols that he studied before entering.
Whoa, wait a minute. What chamber? What are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about a study done in 1990 using the Kozyrev mirror.
Then why not just say that?
Well, I was trying to paint a picture, theater of the mind.
Theater of the mind?
Yeah.
Okay. Stupid.
Okay, that's enough.
Just tell the people what's happening.
I'm
Why do we
trying to
have
tell them, but you won't let me tell them
time?
because you
Just
keep
tell us.
interrupting. The man had trouble concentrating. The more time he spent in the chamber, the more he felt an overwhelming sense of fear. It was instinctual. It was primal. Every fiber of his being told him that he needed to leave the machine now and never come back. Then there was the dizziness and nausea. He felt a deep, permeating sickness everywhere. Dr. Trevomov and Dr. Kaznachev, the scientists in charge of the experiment, told him this was common and that if he could push through it, he would be okay. There were a lot of volunteers taking place in the study in multiple sites in Russia. They communicated freely and openly, and they all had similar experiences. After an hour, the nausea started to ease. His dizziness became something that felt like floating. And the feeling of overwhelming fear became a feeling of overwhelming calm. His warped reflection in the shiny concave wall started to fade, though that wasn't the right word. Then he realized the wall was translucent. He could see through it. But this aluminum chamber was in a small concrete lab in a remote village in the Arctic Circle. But that's not what he saw through the wall. Whatever it was that he was seeing, it was a sunny day. He could hear birds and children playing. The more he relaxed, the more vivid this vision or experience or whatever this was became. Then, without any effort at all, he was through the chamber wall and into the vision. It was like he was there. It felt real. And even though he knew this was impossible, his instincts told him he was there. Next, he found himself floating behind a child, maybe 5 or 6 years old. He got closer and saw this was a boy walking on a sidewalk somewhere. The man tried to look around to get a sense of where he was, but he couldn't tell. It was like the edges of his vision were smeared. But the boy was in focus. Then the boy stopped. The man floated closer and recognized the boy's shoes, and he felt a wave of nostalgia. The boy's clothes, too, were familiar. The boy turned around, and the man felt electricity surge down his spine. The boy was him at 5 years old. The surroundings now came into focus. He was a few blocks away from his childhood home. The sounds became clearer. He could hear distant traffic that he knew was from a busy intersection a half-mile away. The sound of children playing was coming from a park nearby. He turned and saw the park and familiar faces playing. Without realizing it, his small aluminum chamber faded away, though he still had a sense that he was connected to it somehow, somewhere. And after a few seconds of contemplating this experience, the man realized that the boy seemed to be watching him. But that wouldn't make sense. The day the man stepped into was 30 years ago. But then the boy said, "Who are you?"
Whoa!
In an instant, the man snapped back to the present day. The portal closed. The vision ended.
That was theater of the mind, huh?
Yes.
Not bad.
That experience and dozens of others are documented in the case notes of this study. And that one isn't even the strangest. As far as scientists go, Nikolai Kozyrev isn't exactly a household name. But in the early 20th century, he was a prominent Russian physicist whose innovative and controversial theories are still debated today. Kozyrev made discoveries in astrophysics that were at first rejected but later proven true. In 1958, he reported volcanic activity on the moon. At first, this claim was dismissed by the scientific community. Later, the Apollo lunar missions proved Kozyrev was right. What?
Moon landing was fake.
Well, the volcanism was photographed by unmanned missions to the moon.
Okay.
But later confirmed when astronauts brought moon rocks back to Earth.
Fake! They filmed the moon landing on a soundstage in Burbank, California. The rocks are probably from the parking lot or some hippie hiking trail.
Volcanic rock.
Yes.
In Burbank.
Yes.
Near the movie studios.
Yes.
Anyway, Kozyrev conducted extensive research on variable stars, stars that change brightness. He claimed stars emit torsion fields, an idea that was controversial. Now, torsion is a cornerstone of Kozyrev's work, and if his theories are proven correct, he might have solved, well, everything. Torsion, in simple terms, is the twisting of an object due to an applied torque, like wringing out a wet cloth. That's torsion in action. In theoretical physics, torsion is the twisting of space-time itself. You've heard of Einstein's theory of relativity, which describes gravity as not a force, but as the warping or curving of space and time by mass and energy. Now, this is always shown with the rubber sheet example. Imagine a rubber sheet stretched out, that if you put a bowling ball on it, representing a massive object like a planet or a star, it'll create a dip or curve in the sheet. Then if you drop marbles onto the sheet, representing smaller masses, they roll toward the bowling ball. That's general relativity. Now, the Einstein-Cartan theory upgrades this theory with a new feature, torsion, where the rubber sheet or space-time can be completely twisted. And to understand torsion, imagine you're holding one end of a slinky.
What walks downstairs alone or in pairs and makes a slinkety sound? A spring, a marvelous thing. Everyone knows a slinky.
Great, now that's going to be in my head all day.
It's fun for a girl or a boy.
Anyway, if you pull the ends of a slinky or a spring, it doesn't just bend, it also twists. In a similar way, the Einstein-Cartan theory proposes that the fabric of space-time doesn't just curve due to mass and energy, it can also twist. This twisting, according to Einstein, comes from the spinning of subatomic particles. But Kozyrev said that torsion is not caused by particles, it's caused by time. Stick with me. Mainstream science says space is empty, but Kozyrev disagreed. He claimed there's an invisible medium that fills the universe that he called the ether. The idea of the ether has been around since ancient times, but was mostly abandoned after 19th century experiments failed to detect it. But just because it wasn't detected doesn't mean it's not there. Think about birds flying in the air or fish in the water. These creatures need mediums to live and move.
I prefer not to be called a creature, but I won't be a snowflake about it. Go on.
So what about light traveling from a distant star to your eye? What medium does it move through? Well, mainstream science says it moves through nothing. Kozyrev said that's impossible. The medium is the ether. But the ether is not a static, passive medium. It's dynamic and interacts with everything. And time is not a passive dimension. Time possesses energy and structure. And this time energy flows through and interacts with the ether. Just like a school of fish creates waves and ripples in water, time creates ripples or waves of torsion in the ether.
Hey, it's not the size of the fish that counts. It's the motion of the ocean. You know what I'm saying, fellas?
Kozyrev believed time is a physical force, actively participating in the universe's existence. Time is the heartbeat of the universe. It creates energy that impacts matter in space. And because time has a physical structure and energy, it could have different densities. Time can move at different speeds. Time can be sped up, slowed down, and can even move in reverse. We perceive time as a river. In our daily life, we're floating down this river with the current of time carrying us from the past through the present and into the future. But a river...
That's relevant to consciousness. What are you talking about?
Influences the landscape it flows through and the life that grows around it and in it. Time is the same. Time energy influences everything, like gravity and electromagnetism. Time also influences physical matter, including the Earth and the people who live on it. Time energy influences the spin of galaxies and the orbits of planets. Time energy feeds every star in the universe and influences the way they shine. But time energy also influences the weather on Earth, the way plants grow, and how your DNA decided what color your eyes would be. Now back to our raft. If you're in a raft on a river and you do nothing, you'll float along with the current. But with a little effort, you can paddle the raft to go faster down the river. You can make the raft stop. Though it takes work, you can also go backward against the flow of the river. And Kozyrev said time works the same way. We only perceive time at our current point as we float along, but the river behind us is still there. We pass through it, but it's still back there. And the river ahead is there too. We're not aware of it until we get there, but it's still up there waiting for us. Time, like the river, is always there. Past, present, and future all at once.
He's talking about the multi-potential realities.
When the torsion from time energy ripples through the ether,
the past, present, and future together is the multi-potential. Past, present, future together is the multi-potential reality, because the potential of it is always present, is what I mean.
Okay.
The potential.
that information is transmitted instantaneously everywhere, the past, the present, and the future. And Kozyrev proved it. He conducted experiments with pendulums and gyroscopes to detect torsion fields and time energy. Using a telescope, Kozyrev found a star. The light from the star is really from the past, right? The light from a star 10,000 light years away takes 10,000 years to get here. Fine. Kozyrev detected torsion from that star 10,000 light years away. So that torsion was also from the...
Also, these experiments reveal how interconnected we are to what we call time-space. Our consciousness is interconnected to that, because even conceiving of that, right, creates create a morphic, not a time. It creates a time space. Just even conceiving of it creates a time space.
The past. Next, Kozyrev calculated where the star was at the current time. He detected torsion there too. In fact, the reading was much higher than the previous test. This means not only is torsion real, it moves much faster than light. It's instantaneous. Kozyrev went a step further. He calculated where the star would be in the distant future. He detected torsion there too. Kozyrev concluded that all time is simultaneous and infinite, that past and future are just metaphors. There is no past or future. There's only now. He also believed an interaction occurs between time and the human brain. That's why there are concepts such as intuition or foresight. This is human consciousness tapping into time energy. But time can also be influenced by human consciousness, by thoughts and by feelings, which can affect the physical world. And because time is a physical energy that can be sped up or slowed down, time can also be concentrated and redirected. Kozyrev then unveiled a theory that shocked the world.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And
Slow still when you're at work.
It goes slower when you're doing something you don't really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
He said, a mirror can be made that can bend absolutely anything, including time. Time travel is possible through a mirror. And then he built a machine to prove it. Time, according to Nikolai Kozyrev, is energy. Light, which is electromagnetic energy, can be redirected with a mirror. Time energy can also be redirected with a mirror. Specifically, Kozyrev used concave mirrors. And throughout history, concave mirrors have been used to concentrate light. The ancient Greeks and Romans were familiar with this. They used polished bronze or silver concave mirrors to focus sunlight and create fire for various purposes. These mirrors, known as burning mirrors, were used to light ceremonial torches and even ignite sacrificial fires. Some mirrors were even used as weapons by reflecting sunlight onto enemy ships that set them on fire. During the medieval and Renaissance periods, concave mirrors were used by scientists and alchemists to study optics and the properties of light. Isaac Newton used concave mirrors to concentrate light in his telescopes. Today, concave mirrors are everywhere. They're used in optical equipment like projectors and headlights and searchlights to focus and reflect light. Concave mirrors are also utilized in satellite dishes to collect and focus radio waves for communication. Kozyrev said a mirror was capable of bending almost anything. Microwaves, lasers, ultraviolet rays.
He just proved radio waves is nothing but light too.
Mm-hmm.
If you're using something that concentrates light, and then you can still use it to do signals too,
and even particles from space. And time energy can be focused the same way. Kozyrev invented and even patented a device that would focus this energy. It was a thin sheet of metal bent into a spiral using geometry based on Fibonacci numbers, like most naturally occurring spirals are. A spiral, by the way, is the shape that results from torsion. Kozyrev tested different metals and found that time energy was most responsive to aluminum. His early prototype could, according to him, bend time at the microscopic level. Through the device, he claimed he could see 10 seconds into the future. It was at this point that the Soviet government classified his research as a state secret. His next experiment was to build a larger version. It would be a capsule with the interior wall entirely covered by this special mirror. Time inside the capsule would move faster. If you were inside, you could see or even visit the future. Other scientists throughout history may have intuitively come up with the same idea. Nostradamus had his metal egg, which was nothing more than a wraparound concave mirror. And Nostradamus made his predictions by gazing into a dark bowl of water that he actually called a magic mirror. And of course, a bowl of water is a concave mirror. In one of his notebooks, Leonardo da Vinci sketched what he called the mirror chamber. This was an octagonal room where each of the 8 walls were made of mirrors. By the time Kozyrev was building this new prototype, the Soviet government was keeping a very close eye on the research. The technology also ended up on the CIA's radar.
Of course it did.
And then, on February 27th, 1983, just as he was about to test his new machine,
Oh no.
Nikolai Kozyrev suddenly and mysteriously died.
You gotta be kidding me.
The secret research psychic phenomena by American and Soviet intelligence is not so secret anymore.
You want to say something?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
The most famous American program was Project Stargate. This program explored various psychic abilities, but specifically concentrated on remote viewing, which is trying to visualize a distant target using only the mind. Now, the results of Project Stargate were mixed, but there were a few reported successes. The Soviet Union also engaged in psychic espionage, and they invested heavily in parapsychology and psychic phenomena. And the Soviets, according to declassified CIA documents, seem to have been more successful in their attempts. The project we talked about earlier, led by Dr. Travimov and Dr. Kaznachev, was one of these successes. The program began in December 1990 at the Institute of Experimental Medicine of the Academy of Sciences Siberian branch. The equipment was assembled at a facility in Dixon, the northernmost settlement in Asia. The main piece of equipment is called a Kozyrev mirror, based on Kozyrev's research and patents. The mirror is a spiral-shaped metal structure the size of a small closet. It's designed to capture and focus psychic energy in the middle of the spiral. There, the occupant, called a psychonaut, embarks on their psychic journey. At least, that was the plan. As soon as the Kozyrev mirror was built, strange events started occurring in the facility and all over the town. And everything is documented in the book Cosmic Consciousness of Humanity by Drs. Kaznachev and Travimov. The book includes interviews with test subjects, transcripts of recordings, and illustrations of everything that happened during the study. It's really interesting and easy to read. Now, as soon as the mirror was activated, the researchers noticed that around the device was an intense field of fear.
December 24th, 1990, Tape 1. Having entered the room, we felt a kind of emotional pressure, but we kept talking as though we didn't care about it. We just couldn't keep standing around the mirrors. The fear was so strong, more like a wild terror that couldn't be explained. It seemed like a real thing we could touch. None of us had ever had such a feeling before.
This feeling of instinctual dread was described by some as something almost physical that you could touch.
I had an unpleasant feeling. I felt cold and dizzy. My hands were trembling and my head grew heavy. Even the air of the room seemed different. The fear was so strong, it felt like a substance. It came from the Kozarev space and filled up the whole room.
At the beginning of the experiment, nobody wanted to go near the mirror.
Once we opened the door, we got scared. It was like coming into cold water. The shiver came up as we got closer to the mirrors. I felt my head grow heavy. As I approached, the fear grew so strong that I was close to running away.
Powerful bursts of energy suddenly appeared above the device. The researchers called them plasmoids, and the way they described them, they sound like ball lightning. And outside the building, objects started appearing in the sky. And these were seen by people who worked at the lab, as well as residents of the town.
Coming to the lab at 8:30 a.m., I saw a red glimmering circle above the building. It was there for a minute and then gone.
At 5:10, I saw a UFO flying from the north. The object had the form of an ellipse, radiating red-white light. There were beams of light coming off the object as if it was searching for something. The UFO remained in sight for about 4 minutes, then the light went off and it was gone.
Suddenly I felt a kind of hypnosis. The feeling didn't last long. I saw a white glimmering object which looked like Saturn against the dark sky.
7 different UFOs were seen for months all over the area. Finally, some participants of the study worked up the courage to enter the Kozarev mirror. And that's when things get really strange. Here's how the first experiment works. An operator sits in a Kozarev mirror at the lab in Dixon. Another person sits in a mirror at the town of Novosibirsk, 1,400 miles away. The operator is then told to concentrate on a symbol and send that symbol to the receiver in Novosibirsk, and the results were surprising. On days when the Earth's magnetosphere was quiet, the success rate was between 0 and 10%. But when the magnetosphere was active, like during solar storms, the receiver could successfully detect the image being sent by the operator between 30 and 45% of the time. It seemed like human consciousness was somehow connected to the Earth's magnetic field. Now, this completely aligns with Nikolai Kozarev's theory that sunspots and solar weather emit torsion waves that have far-reaching effects. And these waves influence many processes on Earth, from weather patterns to human consciousness. So another
You think they don't know this already? And using that, they're using that to do their experiments. Whenever they want to affect something on the other side, they know, because our ancestors taught them this. You know what I'm saying? Especially as it pertains to weather and dynamic understanding of how the astrology and astronomy and all these different concepts, who they learned that from? They're just utilizing it for whatever purposes that they have in their mind, their inferior mindset. This is old news, all this stuff. Really, they just really discovering this shit themselves.
Experiment was done. This time, 2 operators and 2 different Kozarev mirrors in 2 different cities would concentrate on sending images into the Earth's magnetosphere. Then, 5,000 participants in 12 countries around the world would try to tune into this energy and view the symbol being sent. When the magnetosphere was active, the success rate jumped to 95%. Not only did this shock the scientists running the experiment, but it also shocked the CIA, who had been watching closely. And it turned out that children, specifically female children from spiritual and shamanic families, were extremely good at this. During one test, rather than thinking of an image, the mirror operator just thought of a number. The children were able to receive this number, look up the image, and draw what they saw. For symbol number 63, this is what they drew. And for symbol 32, this was seen. Over the next few months, volunteers learned to tolerate the Kozarev mirror device for longer periods of time. And some people stayed in for 7 hours or more.
Being inside Kozarev space, at first I felt my body shaking to and fro. I felt pressure from all around my head grew heavy. Later this feeling went and I felt so light that it was like I was coming out of myself.
When they were inside the mirror, they started calling this Kozarev space. And when they were in Kozarev space, participants were feeling and seeing the same things.
At first, I felt my head grow heavy. It was also shaking a bit, and then it was gone. I saw people's faces flickering in my eyes. Then I saw black clouds. Then it was like I was falling through a black hole.
Almost everyone felt weightless, and then like they were flying.
I felt waves coming over my head. Then I felt like there was somebody else in the room. And then there was a series of images.
In their book, Travamov and Kaznachev included a chart of common experiences. Almost 90% of participants felt like they were flying. Most saw outer space, celestial bodies, and even UFOs. During longer sessions, another strange phenomenon was common: visualization and the manifestation of symbols. People started seeing symbols hovering in the air, and they're described as swirling and floating around the room. And each symbol emits an eerie glow like neon. But people weren't seeing these symbols in their minds. The symbols were appearing in the room. Even more amazing, people who were completely isolated from each other were seeing the same symbols. 2,000 distinct symbols were recorded. A linguist researched them and found that 80% of them came from ancient cultures. In fact, the most frequent symbols were from ancient Sumerian. The experiments continued for months and exceeded all expectations. Participants of the study who experienced Kozyrev space found that the effects lasted for a long time after leaving the mirrors. People were thinking more quickly, scoring higher on IQ tests. They had increased memory capacity. They were more creative. Some people had illnesses that were completely cured. Doctors Travamov and Kaznachev believed that this technology was a breakthrough that could elevate all human consciousness, if the technology was handled carefully and responsibly. The scientists were very aware that using Kozyrev mirrors to activate superhuman abilities could be dangerous. The CIA shared the same fear. There was also another issue that had them worried. It turned out that when people were in Kozyrev space, they weren't alone.
The CIA was only worried about who's going to weaponize it first. Is the Russians going to weaponize it first, or we're going to weaponize it? That's what they were.
Time people spent in Kozyrev space, the more they realized they were all having the same experiences. 75% of people saw UFOs. 70% saw extraterrestrial buildings. And 68% of people felt the presence of intelligent entities in Kozyrev space. They started calling these entities the observers.
I felt a kind of discomfort, which then turned into fear. I felt I had something cold right on my neck. I had a feeling somebody was watching, so I was afraid to open my eyes.
This observer could physically interact with people within Kozyrev space.
I closed my eyes. I wanted to sleep, but all of a sudden I felt somebody touching my hand. My body shivered with fear.
The observers were consistently described as humanoid, but not human. They were very bright, like made of light. No one was able to make out any features.
Being inside Kozyrev space, at first I felt nothing at all. In a few minutes, I saw a human shape. It was white all over. In 30 seconds, it was gone.
On a few occasions, an observer actually communicated.
Between the mirrors, I felt my head jerk, and something appeared. I was asked, "Who's that man with you?" I explained that he was a scientist. Then I asked them, "Who are you?" No answer came. I asked them, "Can you be seen?" And I saw human shapes.
I saw shining lights. I heard a voice asking me, "What do you want?" I answered, "I want to meet you." I only remember one word of the answer: League.
Most participants found communicating with the observers to be an unpleasant experience.
I saw a device with lights and an egg-shaped object. This ran in my mind. Come up. I answered, "I don't want to. I have fear of you." Then it was gone.
I saw a face. It wasn't that of a human. I got scared.
I was dizzy. I felt my head rolling around slowly. There were flashes of light. I asked who was there. The answer was, "I have no face. I am nothing and everything." Then I saw the eyes. The eyes were not very kind.
A few people saw more than UFOs in the sky. They saw UFOs from the inside.
I saw a light on which I could manage to get to a flying craft. It was a black hemisphere. I saw a few doors. I opened one door and found the beings looked human, but of smaller size. I asked them what they were doing, and they answered they kept watching us. I asked them where they were from. They said they came from a big star.
And one observer had a disturbing prediction for Earth.
My body got relaxed and light. As soon as I closed my eyes, I saw an object flying above. Then I was in a room I hadn't seen before. A man was standing in the center of the room. His face wasn't seen. He began to speak slowly. Your planet is in danger. It is suffering. You have been in the mirrors too much. It's bad. Then he said, there may be a disaster. I asked him when. No answer came.
Now, it's unclear whether this observer actually saw the disaster in the future or is just saying that we're on a path to disaster. But time travel was experienced by over 40% of the participants. And most of those experiences were the person at various stages of their life. Some view their life like watching a movie. Others were actually able to interact with and participate in their life in the past. Also, there were many people who observed or participated in historical events. One woman remembers being an advisor to Genghis Khan. Another felt his consciousness transfer to someone in the Middle Ages. Another to the Roman Empire. Remember, Nikolai Kozyrev believed that time was energy. And he believed that time energy could carry information to and from the physical world. Information was specifically abundant when objects change their state. For example, when water freezes solid and then melts and then turns into steam, this changing of state is very effective at encoding time energy. Poseidon-Dixon was chosen for a few reasons, but one of those was permafrost. The researchers believed that when the water in the Arctic froze, information from that time it was frozen stayed trapped in the ice. And when the ice melted, that time energy was released. They thought some people may have tapped into this time energy, which gave them access to different points in time. Now, doctors Kazanachev and Travamov continued their work with Kozyrev mirrors for years and achieved an incredible amount of success. But despite the support of the Soviet and Russian governments, mainstream science journals wouldn't publish the work. In the West, research into Kozyrev mirrors has been completely ignored by everyone.
Except the CIA.
Right. Within the past couple of years, the CIA has released a few documents showing that they were following this research very closely. And it's been alleged they've conducted their own research into Kozyrev mirrors. There's one last document in the CIA database that covers Kozyrev mirrors and the potential for this technology to unlock human psychic abilities and awaken human consciousness. But that document, despite many freedom of information requests, remains classified. The research done in Siberia in the 90s using Kozyrev mirrors is amazing, but is it true? Well, it's a difficult story to debunk. On one hand, mainstream science doesn't take any of this seriously. On the other hand, major intelligence agencies do. Dr. Kazanachev and Dr. Travamov published their research in detail. They've given plenty of interviews. They say all of this happened and they don't seem to be lying. And why lie? Remember, their early research was funded by the Soviet state, and lying to that government seems unwise. But if their technology works, why isn't it more widespread? You absolutely can buy Kozyrev mirrors. You can buy blueprints to build your own. The process is well documented. There are even a couple of patents. The materials are not that expensive. Still, it's a technology that's way on the fringe. Now, whether you believe in the Kozyrev mirror or not comes down to, do you believe Nikolai Kozyrev's theory about time energy and the ether? Mainstream science doesn't believe in anything called the ether. But if instead of ether, Kozyrev called it dark matter or quantum foam or emergent space, maybe more people would have accepted his ideas. Now, Kozyrev had a few ideas rejected by mainstream science that were later proven to be true. What if he's right about this too? But using a mirror to reflect time, that sounds very science fiction-y. And it was, until last month. Scientists at the Advanced Science Research Center at the City University of New York conducted an experiment. They sent an electromagnetic wave through a metamaterial. These waves also have a time component that can be measured. The wave went in moving forward and came out moving backward. This is what's called a time reflection. And this was pure theory until now. So Nikolai Kozyrev was right. Time isn't as linear as we thought. Kozyrev also said time affects everything in the universe physically. Well, Dr. Travamov has been using Kozyrev's theories and Kozyrev mirrors to predict earthquakes. Again, sounds like science fiction, but geologists' accuracy in earthquake prediction is on average 8%. In 2018, Travamov's accuracy was as high as 61%. According to Travamov, we can use Kozyrev mirrors to predict dangerous weather, volcanic eruptions, and even solar storms. Kozyrev mirrors could be used to study our solar system, or even deep space, We can use it to look for landing sites or help us search for extraterrestrial civilizations. Kozyrev mirrors can be used to slow down the rate of aging in the human body and cure incurable diseases. Now, despite all this potential, mainstream science won't take this technology seriously. Shravamov and Kazanachev said this technology is so important and so profound that it should be made available to everyone and not left in the hands of an elite few. Kazanachev specifically worried about government or corporations abusing Kozyrev technology. And I think it's fair to worry about that, but I also think it's worth the risk. Kozyrev's theory, whether real or not, has a great message for humanity, that we're not bound by fate or determinism, but have the potential to shape our own reality with our choices and actions. It reveals that we're all connected to each other and to the universe through subtle fields of energy and information.
Damn. What the fuck? How long was you off?
You went away.
Oh, okay. How
It
long
was
was
about
you
a
off?
minute.
How
About a
long was
minute
you
or
off?
two.
A minute or two?
About a minute. Yeah.
So did you see most of the Kozyrev mirror?
Yeah, I saw all of that. And when the last video went off, you went away.
Okay. So you seen most of it. That's good.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's very interesting what they're talking about, because the things that they're speaking about is stuff that I've been alluding to, how the mind actually is a quantum computer that can tap into all time space and actually can tap into the multi-potentiality reality. Why? Because those are like how they did with the recent quantum computer. They were computing all of these different scenarios, right, that can actually possibly happen, right? And this is how they came up with the idea for the supercomputers, because the supercomputer is quantifying at a level beyond molecular. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's quantifying at a level beyond molecules. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you get to that level of being able to compute, and at that level, like this is where that singularity concept is coming in, where it's a spiritual and a technology singularity, bro. Spiritual and technology singularity that's going to happen, right? And what do I mean? What do I mean? We're going to have to realize that we're on the path of having robots take over, technology take over us, or we can be on a path of integrating this technology into our evolution and becoming something beyond humanity. You know what I'm saying? And that's, we have a path, and of most of these new world order, that's the path they really going towards, to having us totally dependent on the technology.
Well, not going to happen in the golden age. It's the Kali Yuga. The Kali Yuga is over.
Yeah.
We're in a hole in this age, plus in with Pluto in Aquarius. The energy is different.
Right.
It's way different.
Yeah.
And
I mean, so at this point, none of their efforts can even affect what's the transition that we're going in this evolution. It can't even affect it. Like, is it even a potentiality?
they would like for us to believe that it is.
I think because this is what I'm saying, like on a lower level of existence, like humanity is,
Mm-hmm.
they can exist on those lower levels, right? They're going to become glimpses of our consciousness. It's going to be like a distant star, right? Those realities is going to be it's going to be so far beyond our concept or our conceptualization because we've advanced. And this is what she's saying. It's like even the Bible talks about some will be left behind.
Yeah.
Literally. Like because of your continuing to perpetuate the old energy and vibration within yourself. See, the Kalderic mirror, right, only highlights what's already inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
So all those entities, all those feelings, all those, it's just something that was manifested within them based on the conditions that were created by the Kalderic space. It just all it's doing is opening up something that already inside of us. That's what they said. That was the whole basis. How do we enhance human psychic abilities?
How do we enhance that?
That's what the whole purpose of the Kalderic music was based in. That was the intent. That was the whole original intent of why they came up with the Kalderic mirror.
Mm-hmm.
How do we take human consciousness to the next level? And this was in the 50s, 40s that they was grasping these concepts.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine they were thinking about that then, and imagine where the advances they made in that technology now.
It made a lot of advances. And we're just now probably only getting to the surface, not even the surface.
But the thing about the thing about their technology, if you think about technology, look at technology and the nature of it. Technology is nothing more than something that is trying to emulate something in nature, already organic reality.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but it's getting late. Let's call it a night.
No doubt.
Yeah, but I get the message.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had any last word or what?
Last words. Damn. Well, last words is raise your consciousness, raise the vibratory rate, raise your vibration above your humanity, and do it in a hurry. We all have to. So that way we can ascend to something greater than our humanity, because humanity sucks.
Right.
Yeah. We're gods. We're well, I don't even know if that's the right word to use, but
well, for human purposes, yeah, that's the highest conceptualization for humans, a god. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what we are. We're all in eachness of oneness in the allness. So each one has a gift. Each one of us have a gift. I mean, the divine spark. So the divine spark been down here for a long time, incarnation after incarnation. So its time is here now. Our time is here.
Right. And with that,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say this, man, at the end of the day, we when you transcend humanity, you get caught up in a lot of the emotional attachments to humanity, and that's a part of transcending it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like how when somebody passes away, if you are holding on to that person, you're holding them down from being able to transcend beyond these lower vibrational realms that we exist in, like the dojo that we go through, like the adversity of our spirits. You know what I'm saying? We go through this. It's like a dojo, but it's all meant for you to vibrate higher than you. The demiurge and the archons want you to.
Yeah.
You want to vibrate.
You must.
Because they will keep you trapped if you allow them to. Because it's all up to you. It's like a vampire. A vampire cannot suck your blood if you don't invite them in.
Mm-hmm.
Period. That's the rules. I've been watching these because a scary movie basically is just a lot of ancient symbology. If you look at them, scary movies is full of ancient symbology, right? What we're calling demons, what we're calling anything that's supposedly scary, it's basically talking about the ancient world, right? Because it will be scary to a watered down humanity that we are today.
It's sissified, man. Pussified.
Right.
Humanity has been pussified.
For real.
Pussy. Yeah, just over.
Right.
They just over fluorinated the water.
Right.
Okay. We just got ODing off of fluoride.
For real. So with that, we out of here, y'all. See y'all next weekend.
Yeah. See you guys around.